Alright, audio looks good. Hello everyone, welcome to the stream. My name is Daniel Livingstone, and today we're going to be doing some interior photography like the pros inside of Photoshop. There's going to be a combination of Lightroom and Photoshop work in this stream, so jumping right into it. We're here inside of Lightroom, and before we actually get into any of the Photoshop and the retouching work, I want to show you guys how I kind of organize and prep a project like this. Now, these are some photos that I shot, interior photos of a medical space, or like a primary healthcare facility, and we did a shot on a tripod with a relatively wide-angle lens. And you'll notice a bunch of photos that are either really underexposed or really overexposed. Now, these are my brackets for HDR merging. So I'll take a photo at middle exposure. This is kind of like if you were to take a photo of just the room and wanted the best result in one shot. That's what this would probably come out to be. And then I take a photo that's 2 stops overexposed and 4 stops overexposed. Now you're probably wondering, why would you want a photo so blown out? And it's because you'll notice all this information here is gone, but we still have information here in this area. We have all this information in this area and in here. So in a photo like this, you'll see that this is really dark and a lot of this is probably kind of gone. And then same for this, you'll notice we'll have information here, which is probably a little blown out in this shot. So when I'm prepping it, I do brackets of 5 usually, and I will mark all of those brackets with a blue color tab. Now you'll notice some photos with a person in the shot holding a light, and we'll get into that later, but the first thing I want to explain are these bracket shots. So I'm just looking for those brackets, marking them blue. Looks like we have 2 different versions of the same shot. I don't need this first one, so I can remove all these. Yep, these are all blue. So some of these are going to be yellow, and that's the ones that I'm marking with this light, or like a person holding a light. In this shot, it's actually me. What's up, world? Not the most flattering portraits for sure, but I have, okay, bracket of 5, bracket of 5. Here's my next bracket. I'm going to mark all of these blue. These all get marked blue as well. And I'm just using the number 9 key as a keyboard shortcut to do that. So 1 through 5 in Lightroom will star rate your photos, and then 6 through 9 will color tag your photos. I find that to be a really helpful shortcut. Alright, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Mark as blue. These get marked as yellow. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Blue. Everything else, yellow. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Blue. Yellow. Blue and yellow. And this just makes it easier for me when I'm quickly going through the whole gallery to grab the plates that I need and know what's what. Because just looking at the thumbnails, it's kind of hard to tell. Yellow. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. We'll do these as yellow. And then these I think also don't have a flash pop, so these are all blue as well. These are also blue, 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 and then these exposures are going to be yellow. Okay, so now that I have all of my shots color tagged properly, these are all organized, so I can quickly go through and very easily see what is supposed to be an HDR bracket plate and what is supposed to be a composited light shot. And like I said, we'll explain the compositing later. But for the time being, I'm just going to grab my blue shots. Command H for HDR merge is the keyboard shortcut. I am going to have auto align clicked. I'm not going to do auto settings. I like to do the settings manually myself. Deghost, I don't think I'll need any because there's nothing moving in it, and it was all on a tripod. And then create stack, I like to check, and we'll use a lot of stacking to further organize these shots so that they're not cluttered with all the plates in our film strip or in our gallery. So that's gonna load up a preview. We're gonna begin the merge process. You'll see a progress bar at the top left here, and that's just letting me know how long it's taking to do that. So we're gonna have to do, just glancing over it, 1, 2, so we can collapse that. 1, 2, oh, okay, it finished our HDR. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, I already lost track. I'm guessing like 14 or 15 merges. Some of these are double ups though. But starting with this office shot, so now we have our HDR merge. We have tons of information in this shot now. It's created a DNG for us. And you'll see the image appears underexposed. Give it a second to make sure it's properly loading in. I'm definitely overworking my computer by streaming and doing these HDR merges. It's kind of hardware intensive. So now I can pull up the exposure, pull down the highlights, and we still have all this detail here. Like, there's so much dynamic range in the shot. I can even max out the shadows, and we're getting no noise and no grain. So we have all this information, detail, and texture preserved. Now that I've maximized the dynamic range of the shot, I can kind of stylistically edit this how I want. So I'm going to pump a little contrast into it. Definitely want to white balance it. I think maybe 6,000. Let's see. Somewhere in the 8 to 10 range is, I think, where the tint is going to fall. I think it's going to be 9. And then this needs to be significantly warmed up. So I'd love to recover these highlights over here by where this window falls. And I might even just do a radial gradient, bring that exposure down. I don't remember how to feather it. Yeah, there it is. And now I can bring the overall exposure up. I'm going to balance for the room here. And it's not blown out, which is good. So this is our before, this is our after. We've definitely pulled out a lot of that exposure. I'm not going to do anything with color in this shot because I have these shots here. Now these are my flash shots. So what I did is, while the camera is still on the tripod, walked around with a strobe and then bounced it off the ceiling in different parts of the room to get kind of like light painting all over. This shot might not be useful to me. Yeah, I don't think this is going to be helpful. We'll delete that. But these are pretty good. Okay, so I'm gonna, let's see. Yeah, good for that. Good for that. And then what is the difference? This is just a darker version of that. I think I don't need this one then. Now what I need to do when I'm pulling all these in for compositing is I need to make sure they're all edited kind of the same. So the whites are actually in a great spot. And then the white balance, I'm going to do 5500. And 14 tint seems pretty good actually. I don't see any green or magenta color cast on this. So 5500, 14 tint. I'm going to copy that over to this. And then same with this. So these are all matching in temperature and tint. This one I can probably bring down a little bit. Great. Now, what I'm going to do is grab all of these shots, edit in. I'm going to open them as layers in Photoshop. Make sure my audio is working actually. It appears the audio is good. At least we're getting the music. Although the music is a tad loud. Yeah, okay. Audio is good. So now that we have all of our images inside of Photoshop, I'm going to select all my layers. So this is my HDR merge shot and then my 3 strobe shots. I typically like to put the one that's the strobe behind camera as the base layer, and then I'll have a left and a right one. But I need to take all these before I make any edits. Go to Edit, go to Auto Align Layers. I need to make sure that these are perfectly in alignment for when I do my blending. Now all these shots are aligned perfectly. Yep. This is gonna... I wish I had the lights off for this shot, but that's okay. Did I end up redoing it? I don't think I did. No, that's fine. Alright, so back to Photoshop. Zooming out a little bit here. We are going to turn this layer off for now. And I'm just going to work with these layers. This is a good start. I'm going to mask this out, and then we're going to use this to subtly paint in where we need more exposure. Oh, using a white brush. I'm just painting a little bit of extra exposure into this area here. Maybe not this part. Definitely more of this though. Because let's see, where is the exposure in this? There we go, got some more dimension on the table there, and then we'll add this layer, and this gives us some brightness over here. So I'm going to do a black mask on that, and then we're going to add some exposure on this side. Yeah, this also gives us a little bit of exposure over here as well. We just want to make sure these are all super balanced. Get a little more exposure on the ceiling over here. We could also use this layer to get some extra exposure on the ceiling over here. Not a lot though, because this is a little blown out. So we're just going to keep these brush strokes pretty subtle. Make sure everything is nice and blended. Alright, so we just brought back a lot of dimension there. Alright, now we have our HDR ambient no flash shot on top of everything. I'm going to change the blending mode to luminosity, and now you'll see we have a very color neutral image. Yeah, now you'll see we have a very color neutral image. I'm going to reduce the opacity of our HDR shot or ambient shot a little bit, but the difference between this and this is that it's pulling in all of the directional light from the sun, from the windows, into our flash shots. So we're using our flash shots mostly for color consistency and general exposure, and then this HDR bracket ambient shot comes in on top and then brings everything back to a very natural looking place. And this technique is called flambient, a combination of flash and ambient. This was coined by the YouTuber Nathan Cool, so shout out to Nathan for that. I learned this technique from him like years ago on his YouTube channel, and I still use it today for all like any interior stuff I have to do. But I think it has a really cool kind of professional look because it takes your shot. This is like if we just did a flat behind camera flash on the scene and everything looks fine. I mean, everything's like exposed well and color neutral, but this brings back a lot of directionality, dimension, helps things feel grounded in reality. So I like this a lot. I'm definitely going to group all of these as plates. And then on top of these, I'm going to do some adjustment layers. So I'm going to bring the exposure up a little bit on the shot. And this is where kind of we're getting into the final touches of the image. Now I need to mask out a lot of this overexposed stuff on the right side that we blew out with our curve. I think I'm also going to do a couple of adjustments. I got to get rid of this for sure. Oh, I have to merge everything. There we go. Okay, cool. And actually, looking back at our merge, we have this crazy orange cast from the tungsten lighting inside the other room, but in doing the luminosity blending, we actually lose all of that color cast, and it's just the brightness of the door. So I think this looks really, really good. What else does this shot need? I can probably just like clean up the sprinkler system. I don't think that adds anything to the image. Yeah, I think this is great. I think I can do straightening on this in Lightroom. Yeah, and I'm looking around for stuff to like retouch or edit. I don't see anything. Like, I think this is just really good. We did this shot right in camera pretty well. So I'm gonna save this document into my selects folders. And now in here, we have our image. I'm gonna mark it green for our select. And then a little bit of further Lightroom editing. I'm just gonna use the transform tab. I'm gonna do a manual transformation for perspective correction. I'll probably also need, well, let's see. There we go. Alright, that looks pretty straight to me. We just need to do, it feels a little bowed. So I might do a profile correction. No, it doesn't help us at all. Okay. I think that's fine. Oh, and then the last thing I want to do is pull back some sharpness into this. So I'm going to go into the Details tab, and then bring up the amount, maybe not too much, but so masking is really, we're going to, wow, I am really flubbing my words today. Let me start over. I'm going to go into the Details panel, and I want to make this image sharper. So we have 4 tools for sharpening. The amount, which is just straight up how much sharpening we want to do. And then these other tools, if we hold down the Alt key, like in masking, I can visually see how it's affecting my image. So this would be, everything's getting sharpened across the board, but maybe we just want to refine those edges and create really, really hyper small detail. So I'm going to mask out all of the walls. The white walls, we don't need to be sharpened. There's just a white wall. There's no texture there. So maybe I'm just looking towards the edges of these chairs, maybe a little bit of texture on the table. So I'll mask it really heavily, and then the detail I'll need to zoom in for. I'm going to look at the corner of this table because this is really the main focal piece. Maybe there, and then radius. Not super hard, I don't want it to like start ghosting. But I'll make the sharpening about there. And I think that's pretty good. So then we see our before and our after sharpening. Very subtle, but there is a lot more dimension there. And then for cropping, I'll probably just take down some of the ceiling because we don't need all that data. And then we have a nice boardroom shot. Great. On to the next. And then once we're done with that, we can group all these plates, and I'll do a stacking, group into stack. So now those are all in one stack. Now we kind of do the same thing with the next boardroom shot. Grab all of our images. I'm going to do an HDR merge. Lightroom's going to automatically do its thing. And then, yep, create stack, auto align, merge those. Oh, I feel so rusty. I haven't streamed in like 2 months, so it has been a minute. Well, between now and the last stream, there were a lot of client projects that I had to work on and plan out and shoot and edit. Not all of it was streamable, but this was one of the few parts that is streamable, so I wanted to make sure we got on top of that. And plus, like, HDR merging and interior editing is so chill and so simple. Alright, we got our merge. Oh, I gotta let it, like, fully make it. I forgot I can't, like, jump into it too fast because then it's gonna black screen. Alright, we're back. Definitely gonna, so when to preserve the window detail, I'm actually gonna take that way down and bring the exposure up a bit, bring those shadows back, maybe reduce the contrast, black point as well, and then pick up the exposure overall. I think this is where I want my exposure to be, but you can see here, if I zoom in, there's no noise in this picture for how much that we picked up our exposure by. It's kind of crazy. Like, I could take this like way up, still not a lot of noise. Maybe a little bit here in this, like, the darkest part of this chair in shadow. But you can see on the table here, no, like, not a noticeable amount of noise. Plenty of rich information. But I'm also looking at my histogram here, and I'm paying attention to this a lot when I'm working on these kinds of images, because you can eyeball it, but I am always very cautious of, like, actually blowing out info and losing detail. Like, this is almost blown out. I think that's what this peak is right here. However, this particular building and this detail isn't crucial to the image. And you can see here we have all this nice color detail and all this information. But the view outside isn't spectacular. So there we go. I'm going to do that. And then I have my strobe shots here. Let Lightroom catch up. Alright, and I'm going to copy these adjustments to my other shots. I know I'm killing my scratch disk space too. Yeah, I see it dwindling. Where is our behind camera shot here? That goes on the bottom. Alright, so this one's got a lot of exposure on the right. So I'm gonna start painting in exposure on the right. And there we go. And then with this shot, this one will also actually take down a little bit of exposure on those chairs because I feel like they're a little too hot. And then maybe take down some of this over here. Yeah, I don't think we need to pull. Well, I'm in this shot, so I can't really do that with it, but maybe take down a little bit of exposure here. And then our luminosity layer on top. Now I can play with the opacity of this and dial back some of my adjustments, but I do always find that the window should be brighter than the room. I'll go to like 85%, and then I'm actually going to reduce, I'm going to mask out some of that on the table here, because I think that reflection is just hitting way too hard. Now I'm going to group all these as plates. And we can do our adjustment layers. I'll just do a curve and bring that exposure. Actually, I'll bring that up from the whites. And now we just need to paint this in, where I think we could use some pops of brightness. I think on the ceiling for sure. And then maybe on the right side of the room, it's just, there's a little bit too much fall off. There we go. That looks great. I don't even think there's anything to really retouch in this. I will do a merge layer. Oh, except I don't want this visible for the merge. There we go. And now I can retouch on this layer, and I'll just do a... knock that out. And is there anything else in the walls? No? Looks really clean. So now we just save this document in our selects. Here we go. And then that is in our selects folder here. And then I'm just going to constrain the crop to the image so we don't have these transparent borders. Maybe even, once again, reduce ceiling height. And then does this need a straightening? It actually looks like extremely straight already. This could actually use a little bit of contrast. Maybe pull down on some of the shadows. Might have lifted those too much. And then brings back some blacks. Yeah, there we go. Now we have some dimension in the shot. We can also do our sharpening technique. So I'm going to find a spot on the table that I think needs to be sharp, along with some chair. About here is a good spot. And we got brick too, which is a good indicator. Bring the sharpening up, masking down about there. Don't need all that detail. Yeah, those chairs are a lot punchier. That looks good. And stack those as well, get them out of the way. These will be easier, these next couple ones, because it's just HDR merges. It's not going to be composites. But we still will be doing some Photoshop work. It's got to do its hiccup. And then it comes back, right? I'll also clear up on some space here. Alright. Now, we can bring the exposure of this up. Bring those shadows up as well. Bring those highlights back down, recover all that information. Maybe pump a little bit of contrast in there. And then I think we're going to do our details sharpening after the fact. Yeah, I'll do that at the end. And our straightening we'll do later. So I have lots of information in this file. I'm just trying to like maximize out that dynamic range. Because what we're gonna do is we're going to take this image into Photoshop. So this one's gonna be this one's gonna be green. I may have lost Lightroom again. Alright, it's caught up to me. So I'm gonna edit this shot in Photoshop, just this singular file, no compositing. And we are here inside of Photoshop. I have another similar file that I want to pull from. It is this file. This is kind of my test edit. So I'm going to grab these layers. Call that adjustments. And the first thing I want to do in this is our straightening. So I'm going to duplicate this layer. And then do our adaptive wide angle filter. And this is a really underrated tool in my opinion. I use this to do like almost all my straightening for architectural stuff. So I'm gonna grab anything that I think should be a true vertical, like a door frame or a window frame. And now I can manually adjust this to be a perfect 90-degree angle. Although it doesn't always want to snap to 90 exactly, but that's okay. That actually fixed a lot of our problems off the bat. This window frame I'm gonna take up. And then let's see, 88.9, so it's off by like a degree or two. Make that about 90-ish. This is already kind of shaping up very well. I think I need to go on the right side and just correct any overcorrection that's automatically done. It's like this locker, definitely a true vertical. We're sitting at 89.3, so I need to take that to 90. And there you go. Now the image feels a lot more upright. I will say this column feels really wonky though, so I'm gonna have to... And the column in real life might not actually be a true vertical, but we do want to make it look like it is. Structurally perfect. So it is 89.3. Take that to 90. There we go. And then this wall also. This has now become 89.4. Take that to a 90. There we go. I don't know why this column is looking so warped in this shot. 89.9. I'm just gonna take that to a perfect 90 as well. There we go. Alright. Everything looks very straightened and aligned. I'm gonna make sure we're getting this table as well. Yep. Oh wait, now you make sure my scale is reset. I do want to keep this little tiny gap on the right side against the wall, so I will sacrifice all this extra stuff. Now we are going to get a little more into like the manual retouching on this shot. Alright, so I need to grab this, take this all the way up here, and then make a selection, and then make another selection. I'd love to do this with content aware fill, because that's how I used to do this back in the day before generative existed. Yeah. Oops. But I think I might just do generative, because I know it's like a guaranteed good result. And then I'll select all of these, make our selection, do a generative fill, we're just kind of filling in that transparency in this shot. Alright, good. I think that looks fine. And then this also kind of needs to go. I like this result the most. Alright, now for our adjustments. I have one for blues, one for yellows, and then a vibrance layer. Which I don't remember, what did I do with the vibrance layer? What was that for? Oh, the chairs. Okay. The chairs actually don't really need it that bad, so I'm gonna get rid of that. But yeah, the blues and the yellows, I need to fix the color cast on everything that's yellow, which means these like vents, any like white tabletop surface. So my goal is to grab as much stuff as possible with the object select tool. And then maybe not the plans. Okay. Now if I fill that with white, yep, that should have grabbed the top. Oh, sorry, this is the blues. I need to move the yellows. There we go. Yep, now that tabletop is a lot more neutral. I also want to grab, I might get a little pen tool action going right now. I guess the question is, where don't I want the yellow to be hitting? The floor and the columns, so it's just the walls, or at least the white walls, and also this stuff over here. So hopefully it grabs this white surface and the plant. Okay, it did. Good. Let's add that to our neutralization. Oh, sorry, we didn't want to grab the plant though. Honestly, I can just come in with a pen tool here. There we go. And then just grab everything around it. There we go. And then we want to neutralize these vents, kinda, and then this wall plus this face. So how are we gonna do that? This should actually be really easy. So I'm gonna grab maybe also this beam going across. We'll give it a shot. Alright, and then up to here, down, down, and then down, and then up the column to about there, to there, to there, to there. Might have gone a little far, carried away with this. Oh no, not really. This I'll do with a brush because it's not as precise. Honestly, I just need to come to the wall here. We'll grab that as well. And come straight down to our original anchor point. Now, make that selection, and then subtract it from the yellows. I'm also gonna do the blues. And the blue color cast is really big here, so that fixes a lot of that up. We'll do the same for the windows as well in a second. We need to get this part now. So I'm just looking at the white walls. I can actually grab all this. Yeah, we can grab all this. Oh no, what happened here? Oh, we lost information with this. Darn it, I should have... How did it grab so much more than we wanted to? That's fine. Do I even have the history to go back on it? If not, it's fine. No, it's all anchor points. That's okay. There to there, to there. I guess we just come up to... No, we have to go up to here and then over to here. There we go. Make selection, get rid of that in the yellows. And the blues. We just need to reinstitute the chairs. You know what? This actually can be included in this. That doesn't look bad. I just need to grab the seats of these chairs. There we go. And then not include that. Not include that. Actually, go back. And then I'll do my... Really? Maybe I will include it in the blues. We may be able to go in and just brush this all out. Yeah. That is highly effective. This blue color cast is really tough to deal with sometimes, especially when you're mixing it with tungsten ambient light. That looks good though. This is just a computer screen, yeah. We're just gonna get rid of that here. I can probably just brush this out regularly. Yeah, there we go. A little bit of flare going on up here. And then it's just the, for the yellows, I can probably brush these out manually. And then also these blue color casts can go as well. And then this sign in the background, I think I actually want to get rid of it. And I'll try to do content aware fill this time, because I don't want to just start writing new words. Yeah, that's great. There we go. Then we're just going to do a clone stamp tool. Just brush that up and down, back and forth. Smooth out those edges. And then this. And then goodbye to that. And then goodbye to this. Perfect. Excellent. And that doesn't even need to be red, honestly. We're gonna try to grab this thing, whatever color this is. Awesome. There we go. That was kind of like not as noticeable. Doesn't stick out so bad. But what I do need to do is neutralize the blues in this window. What if I did just grab the whole window? It's not like there's a ton of blue. Yeah, I think I could just brush it. I don't even think I need to get that precise with the masking. And then I need to do a lot of cleanup on the floor, actually. Oh, this needs to be localized to this. But I do need to fix the floor up a little bit. So I'm going to do a color layer with a color blending mode. And then I need to paint in the floor an even shade. Maybe not so heavily. now I just gotta grab a bunch of stuff with this tool. Like all these legs. Delete that. And then grab the chairs themselves. That's fine. Great. This we can just, I don't know, pump some gray in or something. But what color should I make it? Just like an even white. Let's call this rug. There we go. Any other color cast I see on this? A little bit of color cast here. Grab that lip. There we go. Perfect. You know, polarizer might have actually fixed that too. Did we lose the plants in the yellow deset? We did. I would like to bring these plants back to life. There we go. Alright. All that blue color cast has now been removed. We fixed a lot of the reflections. Now we just need to do our final adjustments, which I have a contrast curve here, which I think we can maybe turn some of the vibrance down a little bit. We don't need that much yellow. And then bring these shadows up. There we go. Oh, there's still some color cast on the floor I think I missed. There we go. Alright, no more color cast. Everything looks correct. And contrast levels seem to be good. Oh, retouching. I may want to... What do we want to get rid of? The exit sign, I think, is fine there. It is a tad distracting, but... maybe whatever this is. Yeah, this is nice. I'm gonna save this. And then that takes us back into Lightroom. And then that is the shot. Okay, cool. Next image. This one's a lot simpler because there's just less elements in the frame. So we can close this. I'm going to keep this file open just so we have the layer references. That one should be easy too. Yeah. Oh, we got a second viewer. What's up? Let's see if anyone's in the chat. So we're waiting on this HDR to merge right now, or like be built. And what that's doing is creating a DNG file for us from our raw images that still keeps a lot of the raw data in there, like the dynamic range and the white balance adjustments. Alright, so our file's been created. And then I need to wait a little longer for it to actually confirm that we have it so I can do anything to it. I'm going to mark this as green to make sure that that is our working file. And I'm going to bring the exposure not way up like that, but more up. Maybe like a 6,000 white balance. What were we at here? 40, 50, and... these two different shots. Very confused. Oh, I did this twice. Which one did I actually edit? 35 is the one I edited. Alright, so this was white balanced at 40, 50, and 11. And then this one's gonna, I mean, what happens if I take it down to 40, 50, and 11? Does it give us a remotely similar look? Oh man, Lightroom is really letting me down right now. Pick it up. That's not terrible. Collapse that stack. It feels very green. Oh, that's a big difference. 4,500 maybe? Or even 5,500 for daylight? Yeah, I think that's fine. And then we just bring the exposure up, contrast down, highlights down, get those windows back. Now we can bring the exposure up, shadows down. Still want to maintain shape and contrast. I think that's good. What are we gonna have to adjust? Yellows, yellows, yellows on that, but not the plant, which will be tricky. A little bit of blues? Sure. Alright, I think I'm gonna do straightening last. So the first thing I want to do is create that color layer. There's not a lot of floor reflection that I have to color cast remove. I will do a cleanup layer as well. Alright, there we go. That's gone. Maybe we don't need the logo. Just distracting monitor. There we go. And then we'll bring our adjustment layers in here. Yellows, blues, curves and vibrance. Alright, so maybe this and that. I'm gonna grab this whole desk. Alright, I grabbed the desk. Blues. Neutralized. I think I'll just paint this in with a brush. Yep, blues. We can take out all the blues in that back room, not that there are a ton. Alright, now yellows. Definitely this. Definitely. this color layer, I need to grab this wooden block. And then I need to sample from this, and then just paint all the way down. There we go. Now that's uniform. There we go. Invert that selection. And then color, we want it to be maybe this grayish color. I think the better way to do it is by just grabbing the individual blocks. Subtract, and then color. I'll just grab this gray, take that all the way across, and then for this bottom part, grab that. There we go. Also this bottom part here. Cool. And then grab that, and then paint that all the way across. Now that looks more color neutral. I think I'd also like to do the same with these chairs and make them the same color. That'd be really cool. Hopefully that's a good selection. We do not want the feet. There we go. And then, yeah, just, oops, paint the whole thing in the color layer. This one will be tough. I would like to grab the chair without grabbing the plant. Yes, but I would like to exclude the plant. I wonder if it'll do a good job of this. Surprisingly, I think it did. Not terrible. Just gotta get rid of this extra stuff. There we go. I do want to make this chair brighter though, because it does look a little dull. Or darker. Contrast, that's the name of the game. There we go. Now it looks like it exists in that space. We could probably get rid of this. There we go. Blues and yellows. A little bit of yellow cast on this. A little bit of blue cast on this. Definitely a lot of blue cast on these just from the reflection of the windows. And then the carpet we can kind of neutralize to be the same color. This shouldn't be hard. Grab that bit. Grab these bits. Definitely grab this part. Grab this. Sure, why not? That part needs to be grabbed. Alright, now we're just gonna do this manually with a mouse. I actually did a good job over here. Remove from selection. Alright, I think this can all be, this is gonna be rug. Alright, I need to pick a color for this rug. Maybe it's just like this neutral cream. And then we can change the contrast of it. There we go. Chair. Title that layer chair. A little bit of cleanup. Alright, it's looking good. Oh, I guess we could do some table, whatever, color painting. Just a little bit of extra gray over here. There we go. This can actually be a little brighter. There we go. Yeah, it looks nice. Lots of color neutralization. I think turns out really good. Alright, that's gonna get cropped in anyway. At the very top. Actually, I don't think this needs to be straightened that much. It's pretty much there. I think it's just an angle change is all we have to do. There we go. And then bring that in. There we go. Alright. So once again, take it. Oh, those are already stacked. Good. Another shot like this. Which this one will have a lot of masking. I don't really want to do that right now. Let's see, there's this. Did we already do this? I did 2 versions of it. What's up with that? Oh, no, it just was unstacked. Okay, cool. I did do a second version of that. I don't think we'll need these then. If it's the same angle. I'm just gonna stack them. We'll put that away. This area might be easier though. I almost feel like I should have like a second monitor going with like a game or something on it, so I could just turn, do that while I wait for all this processing. But then my computer would have a complete meltdown. Like, I don't think that's just like hardware feasible. Alright, we got our HDR merge going. Good. I can close one of these documents. Oh, Lightroom's misbehaving again. Alright, this is our HDR shot. Bring up our exposure when Lightroom lets us. Do your thing. Alright, yep. Exposure up. Shadows up. Look at all that detail in the back. Bring those highlights down a little bit. Bring the contrast up too. Maybe the highlights don't have to be like completely minimized. I think that's good. This one actually be pretty easy to just... I think I just have to mask out the wall. The floor is perfect. There's not really crazy color cast happening anywhere else. I think I just need to neutralize the walls. And then maybe desaturate some of the blues. I don't know why the blues are going so crazy on this. Let me just reset that to what that was. Maybe like a 3800. Yeah. And then take these off the wall. Take some of that off the wall. Not a complicated edit though. Okay. Clean out layer. Just hit that, hit that. One more time. And then hit this. Alright, and then whatever's going on up here in this corner. Oh yeah, you gotta go. Alright, now we want to do, if I just pen tool out, this edge to this edge, and then here up to about, well, all the way to the top, I guess. Yep. Except this is gonna be the yellows. Yep. Neutralize that wall. And then we need to grab this wall painting and remove that. Yep. And then the wall here starts here, goes all the way down here. Actually, I wonder if this is easier. I'll just take it from here. It appears we've run out of playlists. Let me get back on that. Oh no, it's licensed music. There we go. Oh wait. Oh. Oh. I guess we are going all the way around. That's fine. Alright, make this a selection, and then honestly, if we grab the painting, and we grab the plant, and we grab the chair, and then we grab the other chair, I think we'll be in a good spot. Not bad. Yeah. Let's grab the table. And then I just have to grab this entire seat over here. And then that's blues. Except it doesn't have to be that dark. Okay. Might want to make that wall a little brighter though. Oh, let's see. Do not include that. I think I also just need to do like a top-down gradient, just brightness lift entirely. Yeah. Maybe bring back a little bit of yellow, not too much though. Alright. Into the selects folder, you go. Yeah, I'll do like my cropping and straightening like after all the selects are in. Alright, so these need to be stacked, or merged rather. And then I think we just close all those documents. Close this too. For now. Photo merge HDR. Looks good to me. I just know it's going to take a second. Alright, let's bring up the exposure. This is sharp, right? Bring back all that highlight detail. It's weird because this bed is like so bright and textureless. That's fine though. I think that's good. And then these we just have to white balance properly. 5507. 5507. Like 5507. And there we go. Alright, so. Alright, there we go. Oops, 5500. There we go. There we go. I don't think I'm gonna need... Was this one... Yeah. And this one's... Okay, so I'm not gonna need this one. So then I take all of these four and add them as layers in Photoshop. Alright, which one of these is my behind camera? It is this one, good. Auto align these layers. Alright, close all these. I'm starting to get that, like, it's starting to come back to me now. Like, I'm supposed to mask out all of the blown out parts. So now you just restore this. Oh wait, we came back into this room later, didn't we? We did. That's this at the end here. And we did it with the windows open. Okay. Let's see. Yeah, we redid this one. Well, windows closed isn't that bad, actually. But it does look weird to not have them open. Maybe we collapse this for now and do the later version of this room. Let me run that back. I mean, I don't hate it. This one's a little too much. And let me turn that to luminosity. The chair moved a little bit. That's gonna be 75. Maybe I'll just save this and keep it flying around, just in case. Oh, I think it's because of this table that we didn't like about it. That's okay. We can close that document. It'll just be an extra to the client. Are we still waiting on that merge? Yeah. There you are. Alright, so we can take the highlights all the way down. We recovered all of the outside of the window. Lightroom's gonna get mad at me again. Come on, figure it out. There we go. Bring that exposure up, not too much. Bring those shadows back. And then what if we do 5500? There we go. Maybe not so much contrast. Well, we will still need some contrast. It is mad dark over here though, which is why I think I need to raise the overall exposure a little higher and just not worry about these blown out highlights. Alright, this is behind camera, 5500. Alright, give me my shadows back, bring back my white recovery, a little bit of brightness, there we go, and then we copy this over to everything else. Alright, the one I'm not gonna need is probably this one, but we'll see. I'm just gonna grab all 4 of these, and now these are the ones I'm gonna edit as layers in Photoshop. Alright, we need to auto align all of these. Perfect. And then find our behind camera, which is this. Alright. paint this in a little bit over here. Take some of that overexposure down. I guess a little bit of dimension in the chair here. And then what's this one on the right? That gives us nothing really. And then our luminosity on top. There we go, go to like 50. Oh, and then there's a, what's up with this? Oh, is that just like in there? In the shot? Oh, what do you know? Just put the light right there. Okay, well that's retouchable. Let's see what generative fill can do for us. Excuse me. Sure, why not? Let's just get rid of that entirely. Okay, money or books? I would love to not include brick here. Just table, please. There we go. That's an improvement. There we go. Let's try content to fill first, just in case it gives me a good result. It's actually not bad. And then we change this to luminosity. Actually, that works out really well. Actually, don't need that. Oh, there's just someone on their bike in the background. Hilarious. Goodbye. I don't think this shot needs a whole lot of anything else. Just clean up this little spot right here. I think that's good. Maybe a little bit of adjustment layer. Just a tad brighter. We can just grab this whole thing and exclude it from selections. Yeah, don't want that included. Now we can brighten up the image without affecting the chair. That's a lot better. Alright. And then all these we can stack. Alright, because we went back and shot that room. I don't think we went back and shot another room the same way again. What room is this? Oh, the other medical, okay. Yes. And then this one we liked, windows down. Stacking, group into stack. Alright, how many more images? I think I'm probably going to wrap stream here-ish. But let's see what we need to get done still. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. 12 shots. Okay, we got 12 shots to go. We've done 9. That's like 21. Okay. Well, I think we're gonna wrap up stream there today. It's kind of more or less the same on repeat, but I think we've demonstrated the premise pretty well. So quick announcement, I don't know when the next stream is gonna be. I don't really have a lot of shoots coming up, and TBD on a future stream, if at all. Ever since I transitioned from Behance to YouTube, it really hasn't been as strong of a viewership, just because we lost a lot of that community from Behance. So I'm still indeterminate whether I want to keep up the streaming thing. If you have any input or any thoughts, feel free to let me know. Comment on this video or comment on any of my other YouTube videos about the streams. But in the meantime, that just kind of leaves us with the end of this one. So I'll probably do another stream eventually. I just need to find the right shoot for it and something that like my heart is really in, like a really good passion project that I want to share, and then have like a really developed workflow to talk through. But yeah, aside from that, it's kind of just the same old outro. Thank you all for joining the stream today. Check out some of my affiliate links in the description if you want to support the channel. As always, my name is Daniel Livingstone, and you be sure to do something creative today. I'll see you guys in the next one. Take care.